After completing the DLC and letting some time pass, I have finally compiled a list of my favorite bosses. So yo guys at Slyroh, you already know that today I'm going to be ranking every Cuphead boss from worst to best. Now, this is not like all the other videos that you see on the internet where everybody's ranking their the Cuphead bosses from easiest to hardest or whatever. No, you know which bosses are hard. You know which ones are easy. I'm not here to talk about that. I want to talk about my favorites, what I dislike, what I like, and just gush about this game because I truly forgot just how much I loved Cuphead, and the DLC really just reminded me of that. So, we have 40 bosses to talk about because I decided to split up the King Dice mini bosses as well as the King's Gauntlet challenges as their own individual boss. My channel, my rules, deal with it. And yeah, so I don't have much time to waste. Let's go ahead and jump into it. Before I do that though, make sure you like and subscribe and do that. I'm watching you. You better do it. Okay, thank you. Anyway, let's go ahead and get on with the list. Like I said, this is all just my opinion. Leave your own opinions in the comments. Let me know what you think. And criticize me on where I'm wrong or anything like that. I don't really care. But yeah, this is just going to be based on mostly how much fun I have fighting the boss and how much I look forward to fighting them again. And that's mostly it. Some things might be taken into consideration, such as the boss design, boss arena, but it's generally just going to come down to fun. So, with all that out of the way, let's go ahead. Absolute worst boss of the game. Shouldn't be a surprise. Rumor Honeybottoms. I don't like the arena. You can get caught by so many weird attacks. You can get to the final phase, and it just really sucks. I have a hard time getting through this fight without the chaser, although I guess now the crack shot would be really helpful in that fight as well. But yeah, this fight is just not fun. There are times where I'm jumping, and the platforms just aren't there. And it really sucks. I don't think people are going to fight me on that. There's not too many Rumor Honeybottoms defenders, but I absolutely hate this boss. And if I never had to play it again a day in my life, I absolutely would. Coming in at 39 is the first of the King's Gauntlet. It's going to be the Knight. The Knight is just boring. It took a while to sort of figure out what you have to do, but what you have to do is just wait. You have to wait for the window of opportunity to open itself up so you can parry the open spot and rinse and repeat for way too long. It's very annoying if you get like halfway through and then you have to start over. It's just not fun. It's tedious, and I don't really like it. Starting with number 38, we're going to knock out some of these King Dice mini-bosses. At number 38 is Mr. Chimes. This is another fight that just takes way too long. It's kind of boring. I think the idea of the memory matching game is pretty neat, but in practice, you don't really need to remember any of the stuff. You can just kind of randomly guess until you just force your way through it. And yeah, it's just not really that fun. I mean, I guess it's funny that a monkey's flying around clapping cymbals at you, but not my favorite, and I generally try to skip over it if I can. Number 37 is Mr. Wheezy. I guess I just have something against Misters. I don't know what it is, but I like the design of the cigar guy, but the attacks where like that circle thing is just not my favorite, and then jumping from side to side. It's just so easy to get caught on something, like the cigars flying in the middle. It's just not my favorite, and I've taken so much unnecessary damage from that fight, so not my favorite. Number 36 is going to be Tipsy Troop. This is another one where it's hard for me to see damage come from above, damage come from like below, and it's not hard, but I always find myself taking extra damage when I feel like I shouldn't, and you know, it's a little annoying. So not my favorite. Tipsy Troop is kind of forgettable, and they're probably one of the more forgettable King Dice mini bosses, but they're not my least favorite. And at number 35 is Chip's Bet Again. I actually kind of like this one, but it is very simple. You know, it's just a stack of poker chips going back and forth. I do like the design, very cool, but it is pretty simple, and I think it's just missing a little something to put it a little bit higher. But now we're at the point where this is like one of the better-ish King Dice mini bosses. But we're gonna take a break from King Dice mini bosses. As number 34, I have Goopy Legrand. This boss is okay. I died an embarrassingly amount of times the very first time I ever fought him, because I didn't realize that you could like duck to dodge like the punching stuff. But he really does just bounce around. He can take some weird angles where like maybe you just take a random hit of damage, but there's really not that much personality to the arena. You know, he's just a bouncing ball with like the boxing glove. I do like the last phase where it's just like the, you know, you actually kill the boss and then it's just this gravestone coming back to haunt you. It is very cool in that sense, but it's very simple, and I cannot remember the last time I've ever taken damage on that last phase. So, you know, it's there. It's fine. It's one of the earlier bosses, but it doesn't have the same personality as some of the other early game bosses, in my opinion. At number 33 is going to be Pip and Dot. This one's fine. I like the spiky floor. It gives you something that you have to avoid while you're shooting Pip and Dot. You know, you have the obstacles in the air. It's pretty simple, but I like the arena, and I think this is a very solid King Dice mini-boss. At number 32, I have Beppy the Clown. I am not the biggest fan of this fight. I love sort of the roller coaster amusement park atmosphere. I dig that, but the things that I don't dig is there are a lot of times where I just will take random damage from stuff that I can basically not react to. It's mostly like the dog balloons will just like almost spawn on top of you sometimes, and like yes, you can see where they are going to spawn from, but it's hard to know where that's going to happen while juggling where Beppy is, where the roller coaster is. There's just a lot of moving stuff, and it's so easy to just take random damage. I don't really like the horse phase that much. The final phase is good. I like jumping around the swinging like swing thing. I like the penguins like throwing baseballs at you. That part's fine, but everything up before that is just not my favorite. I think I just don't like taking random damage that I don't feel like I can prepare that much for. So for me, Beppy the Clown is really someone that I don't like. Number 31 is going to be Moonshine Mob, and I have similar problems with this one as I do with Beppy the Clown, as there are times where the guys will come in from the background into the foreground, and like, yes, you can technically see them, and you can technically see where they're going to spawn in at, but there are times where it's just like, I can't really focus on that while also focusing on all the other stuff going on, and so I'll just take random damage when I just am not really expecting it. And, you know, I don't like taking damage when I can't really properly prepare for it. So, not my favorite. I do like the aesthetic, and I do like the fake knockout at the end. It is pretty cool. I don't really like the anteater tongue phase. It's really hard to hit. So, I think it definitely could be improved on, but I do like the second phase where you have to juggle, like, the jukebox with the music notes and circling around. Juggling that's pretty nice. I do like that. But everything else, not my favorite. At number 30, I have King Dice himself. If I'm talking just King Dice himself, and not factoring in all of the mini-bosses, King Dice would probably be a little bit lower, just because it's just bouncing on cards, like parrying the cards and then like shooting them, and I always feel like I miss one of the parries and then I'll just take damage like randomly, even though it feels like I shouldn't miss the parry, sometimes I do, and King Dice is really one of the only times in the game where I feel like that happens to me, so I don't know why, but it is consistent enough for me to not be a big fan, but I did sort of decide to factor in the entire King Dice experience into this ranking. Again, my channel, my rules, and I do like the idea of being able to choose which bosses you can fight, being able to get extra HP along the way, and you can end up fighting King Dice himself with like 7 HP or more. It's pretty insane. So I do like the idea. I think it is a good test of like a final challenge before the devil, and it's neat, but it's not my favorite to do on repeated playthroughs. At number 29, I have Hoppus Pocus, or Hopus Pocus, I assume it's Hoppus, but, you know, bunny rabbit in a magic hat, really cool. The design of the arena is pretty nice. I do find it sometimes a little hard to dodge some of the obstacles coming from above, I think, but it's not impossible. It's just not my favorite, but this is fine. I like the arena, and I like the design of the boss. Number 28, and going back to the King's Gauntlet, these are the pawns. The pawns are a little weird. They just kind of jump down and run at you. You just need to parry the top of them. I think it was really cool. It's really, really cool, especially as Miss Chalice is like kind of the first show of using your dash parry. I think that's pretty neat, but obviously you can do that even without Miss Chalice, and you can just normal parry the pawns. But it's cool. They just kind of jump down and run at you, and sometimes they can trick me a little bit, and I'll take random damage. It's a little bit of a challenge, but I don't mind it. I think I like it. It's, you know, pretty solid. Number 27 is going to be the Queen. The Queen I found to be like really easy, especially with Miss Chalice. I'm just like dashing through the pillars of like pink that would come back and forth or whatever. I didn't aim the cannons at all. I would just like dash anytime I saw pink. I just did that for a while, and I just kind of won. So as the final battle, it's a little anticlimactic. The final battle of the King's Gauntlet, it's a little anticlimactic, but it still is fine, and, you know, it's fun to just sort of dash back and forth and dash to the pink, whatever, but, you know, because I was focusing so much on that, I didn't really pay that much attention to the boss itself, or the design, or the arena. It's just kind of like, follow the pink, dash, and do that until you win. I think it was one of the only ones that I beat first try, and, yeah, so that, as a final challenge to the Gauntlet, it was, not much of a challenge. Speaking about not much of a challenge, number 26 is Mangosteen, the 8-ball that I think is probably the easiest boss in the game. There's like 2 obstacles on screen at any given time, and they move really slowly and are very easy to not get hit by. But I do like the personality that Mangosteen has. I like when you kill him, he sort of vomits all the ink. I don't know, it's really cool. I like the aesthetic. I think it's very cool. I don't really have any other justification other than I like it. So, yeah. Number 25 is the first boss in the game, the Root Pack. The root pack, you know, pretty simple, but I do like the personality that each of the vegetables have. I think it's a fun first boss. I think it is, you know, a good introduction as to Cuphead bosses and what you can expect. There's a variety of things. You have the potato shooting things from the side, the onion shooting things from above. You have the carrots with the homing carrots that come after you, as well as the laser eye beams. And you have to kind of juggle all that, and it's nice. I like that. It's a good challenge for the first one. It's obviously not that much of a challenge on repeated playthroughs, but I still like what it has, and I feel like it has more personality than something like Goopy Legrand. That's basically it. I just like the personality that the vegetables kind of bring. Number 24 is going to be Fear Lap. This is a boss that I actually used to really despise, because I feel like I would always get hit by like the ghost coming from below. But I don't know, I've done it a couple more times, and I found that maybe I would just used to be bad, because I feel like it's pretty easy if you know what you're looking for. You just need to make sure that you're keeping an eye on like the blue ones, because they're the ones that come up. And then it's just a plain boss. The background just looks really cool. It's like a skeleton horse thing, and yeah, I just like the design, and I think it's fun. I generally am a pretty big fan of like plain bosses, so it's hard to do them wrong, and yeah, I think this one is pretty solid. And at number 23 is going to be my favorite King Dice mini boss, and that's Pureletta. I really just love getting into a cycle of dashing the poker chips, jumping over, and just kind of going back and forth. You can kind of really get into this nice cycle of dash into the poker chip while you're shooting, jump over, or dash through if you have the smoke dash. And I don't know, I really like the you know, I just really like it. I like the boss design. I like the arena. I like the fact that you can use the poker chips as platforms, and you can kind of just like stay up there while continuing to parry them. It's just really neat, and I like it a lot. Number 22 is going to be Ruby and Crooks. They definitely have some personality. I do think this is a fun boss fight. You know, it's definitely probably one of the harder ones in early. This is probably the time that I should mention I didn't really take expert mode into account when talking about like what I like and don't like, because expert mode Ruby and Crooks is a little insane. And it's not my favorite. I'm not a great Cuphead player, so I generally have played most of these on regular and only tried expert on some of them. But yeah, Ruby and Crooks is cool. I like their attacks. I like their sort of, you know, camaraderie. You know, yeah, when one goes to the other side and then they're blowing you with the fan and shooting planets at you or whatever. The slot machine thing where you get different attacks is pretty cool. And I don't know, I like it. It's a good, solid boss. At number 21 is going to be Hildeberg. Like I said, I like the plain bosses, but this is definitely the weakest main plain boss for me. Just because, I don't know, there's some attacks that I find a little hard to get out of the way from, and I still cannot figure out the final, like, spaceship, like, phase. Not the spaceships, but, you know, the UFOs that, like, will shine the light. Some of them will hit you, some of them will wait, and I'm pretty sure there's, like, a difference in, like, the color or something like that, but I cannot tell the difference when I'm actually playing. So I literally just have to guess my way through it and just hope for the best, and so that's not my favorite thing, and I don't like, I do like the idea of the different constellations having different attacks or whatever, but the implementation of that is not always the best. I think, like, I know the, like, RAM or whatever just will sometimes just hit a weird hitbox and, like, hit me, and I think the one that, like, shoots arrows and, like, the stars, that sometimes lasts a little too long, but I like the idea. It's not my favorite, though, and it's still a solid introduction to plain bosses. If I can figure out the final phase, it might go up a couple spots, but I think this is a solid landing spot for Hildeberg. At number 20 is going to be Sally Stage Play. For some reason, I struggle on this boss more than I should. I don't feel like this is a hard boss, and the design of the boss arena being a stage play, you know, as the name suggests, is really, really cool. You know, it tells a story, and it's really neat. It has a lot of weird attacks. The only ones that I don't really like is there's, if you're not reacting fast enough, sometimes Sally will just, like, teleport like right on top of you, which I've definitely taken some damage from, but everything else is pretty nice. I like sort of juggling the different amount of obstacles that you have to juggle around, and it's just a solid boss, but especially being on aisle 3, I just feel like it doesn't have the same sort of memorability as some of the other ones there, so that's what lands her here. At 19, I have the Bishop. This is just fun. This is just dash into the candles, or run over the candles to be able to dash into the Bishop himself. And that's all there is to it. You know, candles continue to light up, you just dodge attacks, get on the candles, and then dash into them to do damage. And I just think it's really solid. I don't know what it is about the boss arena and just like the feeling of doing it. It's very easy, but it is very fun as well. Number 18 is everyone's favorite flower, Cagney Carnation. You know, I love myself the dancing flower, but On repeat playthroughs, it seems like the boss fight actually lasts like less time than I remember. It always feels like it's over way too quickly every single time. And I also don't really like the seeds falling from the sky attack. Sometimes it's really hard to parry the seeds falling from above, and if you miss one, or if it's just at a spot where you can't really get to it, the stupid pumpkin up top is just so annoying. But, you know, I love the design, I love the music, I do love the final phase, jumping from platform to platform, and worrying about which one Cagney is gonna, you know, do that spike thing so where you can't use it. It's just really neat, and it's fun to do, so I like it. Number 17, I put Calamaria. Calamaria is perfectly fine. I do like it. The sort of sea creatures involved that attack you, you know, are very fun and interesting. The only downside is obviously the sometimes the combination of attacks can be a little bit much. It can be really hard to dodge depending on which combination you get, as well as the final phase where you get like turned to stone and then you just hit obstacles sometimes where there's nothing you can do about it. It's not the best, so thankfully I generally haven't been trying to like, you know, go for S ranks and expert and whatnot, because like I feel like if I got robbed of that just by getting frozen at like the worst time, I would be more angry. But I don't really have any anger towards Calamaria. I think she is perfectly fine, but there are better bosses and there are worse bosses, so you know, I think this is a solid spot for her. At number 16, I have Baroness Von Bonbon. I do love the design. I love all the candy and food inspired things. I like all of the little mini minions that sort of come after you and attack you. I think it's fun. I think it's neat. None of them are really too hard. I'm not the biggest fan of when she like throws her head at you in the final phase. It is very strange and it can be annoying to sort of run away from. But I think without that, this boss would be incredibly too easy. But I also find it hard to parry the jelly beans that come across like the bottom, because depending on which mini boss that you're fighting at any given time, it is you know, hard to get your parries in. So not my favorite, but I do like the design, and I just think it's fun. I like the randomness aspect of the different mini bosses that you can fight, and it's just neat overall. Crack in the top 15, the last of the King's Gauntlet is my favorite, the Rook. I really enjoyed my time with the Rook. You know, just trying to parry the obstacles like back so you can do damage, while then he starts sending like spark type things like on the lower level, so you need to try and jump over that while still parrying back. It's just really fun. It's a really fun cycle of him throwing things at you parrying it back at him, and doing that long enough. And I think the length is like perfect. The design is really cool, and it's just so much fun. I really like the Rook. But now we are only on to more main style bosses. At number 14, I have the Howling Aces. The Howling Aces is a fun fight. It is obviously very interesting when you get to the final phase and it's like turning your screen sideways, which takes a little bit to get used to, but I don't think it's all that hard once you sort of figure out, you know, you're looking for the red and the yellow. I think you jump over the red and you can just stay still for the yellow. Flipping it upside down, I think, messes me up more than sideways, actually. And the lasers are still not my favorite, but yeah, the first phase is a lot of fun. There's a lot of stuff coming at you, but it is, you know, doable. You can sort of deal with all the obstacles in a nice way. And the second phase is just like a nice breather before you get to that final like insane phase. And yeah, it's really fun. It's pretty cool how you use the plane to sort of balance and influence like where on the screen you get to stay and all that sort of stuff until you get to the end. And yeah, so I do like the Howling Aces a decent amount. At number 13, I have Jimmy the Great. This is, I mean, design-wise, Jimmy the Great is definitely one of the best. I love the design of, like, the background, all of the sort of Arabian, Middle Eastern influences, all that sort of stuff is very cool. I find it fun. You know, there are definitely some harder parts of this fight for me, so it can be really rough if you get, like, right towards the end and then you have to start all over again, but, you know, that's just the game. It is what it is. And I don't really have anything bad to say about Jimmy, so I guess you could say that he is great. At number 12, I have Glumpster The Giant. I really love Glumpster The Giant. I think he's got a lot of personality. It is really cool, especially when you realize that the platform that you're fighting on, he like rips it off and like that was his beard or whatever. And then you have the second phase where you're just kind of dodging the jesters or whatever, and then he swallows you whole and you're just like inside. I think once you're inside, it's actually, that I find that phase to be like really easy, which is perfectly fine. I definitely remember the fight ending a little too early, but I guess it balances out nicely because that first phase can be really really rough. I'm pretty sure it didn't take me that long to beat the first time, but if you get a bad sequence of events between the platforms raising, the geese flying, the gnomes below, it can be really, really rough. So I definitely don't blame people that maybe don't like this as much, but I just think it has a lot of personality. And I really love what they did with the design of a lot of the DLC bosses, so, and this one is definitely no exception. Just missing out on the top 10, my number 11 is going to be the Phantom Express. Design-wise, Phantom Express is one of the coolest ones. I mean, you know, it's a ghost train, essentially. You know, you have the different enemies that attack you, like, during the train. You have your little minecart to sort of influence, like, where on the screen you stand. You have to worry about the pumpkins and other ghosts and skulls or whatever moving you without your permission, and you have to try and stop that, which is really cool. It's a nice gimmick. Sometimes I have definitely experienced going to attack one of the enemies and just like getting caught in a weird hitbox and just taking unnecessary damage, but it doesn't happen a lot, so I can forgive it because a lot of the other stuff is cool, but that is like sort of a downside for me. And the final phase is just so chaotic. There's so much stuff flying on screen, especially with me, how I usually use like roundabout bullets or whatnot. There's just so much stuff on screen. It is a little hard to see what to dodge sometimes, but I do still like it, and it is a very fun fight. Starting off the top 10, I have the Angel and the Devil. I don't know if that's the official name or whatever it is, but it's the secret boss in the DLC with the graveyard. And I just think it has a really neat mechanic of, you know, you only take damage if it's looking at you, or looking away. Yeah, if it's looking at you. So you have to, like, look away so you can, you know, do that. And I just think it's really fun, because you think it would be really simple, and sometimes it is, where you can get to a cycle of, I would generally stay on the cloud and then like look away right as I'm about to get hit, but sometimes you just get caught in like a weird cycle where you can't really do that, and so you have to switch it up. But I just think it's really neat. It is a really cool mechanic. I think the design is very cool, and I like that it's a sort of like secret extra thing that is, I don't know, it's just really neat, so I like it a lot. At number 9, I have Wally Warbles. I don't know why I like Wally Warble so much, but I just really have a fun time fighting him a lot. The first phase, you know, it just, you know, it kind of throws a lot of different things at you, but I find them fun to dodge. I love the second phase where he's just like throwing all of his feathers at you. That's so good. It is so much fun. When the little one comes out, it's not my favorite part, but there is a lot of just sort of managing when to attack, when to sort of dodge, when to slip through. That's definitely like almost one of the only times where I really use the shrink mechanic. So it does make a good use of that. And then the final phase is a lot of fun, where, you know, while he's being carried on a stretcher, and then you kill him and they just start seasoning him like ready to eat. So that is really neat. It has a lot of personality. I do love plain bosses, and this one is no exception. Wally Warbles is definitely up there for one of my favorites. Number 8 is one that I've grown a recent appreciation for, and that is Werner Vermin. I don't know why, it kind of took some time to grow on me, but I really just have a lot of fun fighting this boss. I love the sort of projectiles that you have to dodge in the first couple phases. I love the sort of chaotic energy he brings as he's like dashing towards you and shooting stuff at you. The second phase where he's like in the middle, and you have to sort of deal with the spinning things coming from either side, and you have to change whether you're up, down, left, right. It's really cool, and sort of managing that is really awesome. And then obviously the end with like the cat, and then you beat the cat, and then you find out it was just you know, Werner Vermin like piloting the cat all along. That is hilarious. I love that, and there's just no downsides to this. I think this is such a fun fight, and I mean, we're basically at the part where there's almost no downsides to any of the rest of the list. It's just almost perfection the whole way out, and because, I mean, that's Cuphead in a nutshell, which is basically perfection. At number 7, I have Esther Winchester. At first I wasn't sure if she was going to end up this high, because there is a lot of random stuff that comes flying at you. It can be a little hard to see where you need to dodge everything, like the cactus that gets pulled from off screen, and then like the ink that gets like shot at you, things coming from the left, things coming from the right, things coming from the bottom. There's just so much, but I do think that Esther has like a lot of personality. It's fun, and then especially when you get like towards the end, and you know, she's like being turned into sausage essentially. Is very interesting. I love the final phase of sort of dodging through the sausage links. This is another one where I definitely can make use of the shrink mechanic just to really make sure that I am safe, and I find this one so much fun. I definitely have seen that this is up there for people's like favorite DLC boss, and I definitely can see why, because it's just so much fun. They really know how to do plain bosses, and yeah, this is no exception. This is such a great time. At number 6, I have the Devil. The Devil is probably the boss that maybe took me the most time to beat on my recent playthrough. It definitely took a while. It is so easy to just mess up something There's a lot of things coming at you, but I do really like the devil fight. It's the last fight of the main game, so it should be the hardest fight, and that makes sense. And for me, it generally is. But I find most of his attacks, fine to deal with. Some of the first phase attacks can definitely trip you up. That stupid long arm thing is always going to get me. But yeah, once you go down into the hole, into hell, I guess, all that sort of stuff is fun to deal with. And I just think that there's not much that can match the feeling of satisfaction that I get when I finally beat the devil. It is just like a sense of accomplishment that I don't feel from almost anywhere else, with a couple of other exceptions that are higher on this list. But yeah, the devil is just really, really cool, and I like the challenge that he presents as the final boss. Racking into the top 5, number 5 is Captain Browniebeard. You want to talk about personality? I think Captain Browniebeard has it in spades. I love all the sort of attacks that Captain Browniebeard shoots at you. And obviously the boat having the face and then coming to life, shooting you with the big laser. It's crazy. This one also has like that stupid circle like fire attack, but this one I just think it's a little bit better. I don't know. There's so much stuff to sort of juggle around, but I generally don't find myself getting stuck on him that much. So it's like a fun challenge, but it isn't impossible or frustrating. And I just like all the sea creatures that sort of come to help Captain Browniebeard out and try and fight you. This is just a really cool fight. I like it a lot. At number 4, which definitely used to be my favorite Cuphead boss of all time, is Grim Matchstick. Grim Matchstick is, he's a dragon. Dragons are awesome. This is a fun fight. This is a challenging fight. Definitely one of the harder fights in the game. And it is very satisfying to beat. It can be annoying. I definitely feel like you need very specific ammo to really get the best experience with Grim Matchstick, because there's sometimes where you can just have ammo that's just not really going to help you. But I like all the phases. They're all different, unique, especially the final phase, like the way that the sky just starts storming. It's awesome. I love it so much. You have to sort of juggle hitting Grim Matchstick and not hitting the fireball things that he's like shooting out at you, because then that'll just hit you more. This is just really cool. All my homies love Grim Matchstick, and yeah, no surprise that it is up this high, because it is just one of the best bosses in the game. At number 3, I decided to put Mortimer Freeze. Mortimer Freeze, I think also just like, they nailed the arena design, the boss. It's so cool. There's a lot of things flying at you. The thing turning into this giant snowman, doing attacks at you in the refrigerator, shooting ice cubes. There's just so many ice things that just work so well together. I love this fight so much. It is so much fun. And then obviously you get the climb up and then fight the, snowflake thing while it shoots his eye out at you. And this fight is just crazy. It's difficult, but it's so much fun, and I love it so much. At number 2, I have my favorite fight of the base game, and that is Dr. Cal's robot. This fight is hard. It's insane, but it's so satisfying when you finally win. It's really cool how you can sort of vary up how you want to deal with the robot initially, whether you want to attack the top, middle, or bottom, and that affects how the rest of the fight plays out. The phase after that, where it's just the head flying around, that can be a little annoying, but it's not too bad. And then the final phase, I absolutely love. I love trying to dodge through all the little pellets, getting the parries where you can, going up and down, dodging the obstacles, getting in supers, and whatever, wherever you can. I just find this so much fun, and it's so satisfying to beat, and it's so challenging. And that's just some of the stuff that I love coming to Cuphead for. I think this is one of the best, it's just one of the best fights. That's it. And at number 1, my absolute favorite boss in the game is one that I just got introduced to not that long ago, and that is Chef Saltbaker. Chef Saltbaker takes everything that the devil did right and just does it tenfold. Chef Saltbaker is amazing. I love the design of like the arena, how you can see him in the back like squeezing like the fruit and like chopping them up, and then that turns into the projectiles and obstacles that you need to try and dodge. And it's a lot. There's a lot of combinations, and it is hard to dodge all of them, but it is so much fun and it's so satisfying. And then the second phase where you're just on his hand and you have to fight the salt and pepper shakers, whatever, that is fine. The third phase almost barely even counts. And then the final phase where you're just like jumping on the platforms, parrying into the hearts, shooting it. It's just so cool. Every part of this fight is just fantastic, and Chef Saltbaker really just wrapped up the DLC in like the perfect way possible. And honestly, I think Chef Saltbaker would make basically like the perfect final boss as well, because like it's just so fun. It is so challenging, but it is so satisfying to win. and that is why he's my favorite boss in the entire game. So, whew, alright, I can take a breath. I am finally done. I did it. I ranked all 40 bosses in Cuphead. Let me know what some of your opinions are, what some of your least favorites are, what some of your favorites are. Anything that I said that may have surprised you, let me know. Let's have a conversation. Should be great. But I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. And yeah, I will see y'all around for any other videos that I do. Thank you so much for watching. And until the next time, peace out.